question. This Friday, August the 24th, 2018 meeting of the Alarm Systems Contractors Board. I believe today all we have are the appearances.
Yes, ma'am, that's all we had left.
Okay.
From yesterday.
The first one is Christopher Boyles. Oh, well, let's go ahead and do a roll call, because even though we didn't adjourn the meeting, we're less a member today, if you want to do that.
All right, that'll be fine. I'll do that. And before I do that, I'd like to make the announcement. We're starting a little late due to technical difficulties. Scott Cockcroft.
Here.
Lou Richard.
Here.
Vivian Hickson.
Here.
Keith Harvey.
Here.
Doug Fraker. Let the record show that Mr. Fraker was at the board meeting that we held yesterday morning, this afternoon. I mean today. But you do still have a quorum.
I will put Mr. Boyles aside.
Mr. Boyles was an appearance. I'll let you discuss his background before he made application, but apparently he is not here. How about Mr. Draper? Is Mr. Draper here? Dapper. I apologize, Mr. Dapper. Would you please come up? Already signed in, so would you go over there and have a seat there, but please bring your microphones. Yes, sir. Gentlemen, when you introduce your name, would you please spell your name for the court reporter?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to push the button and speak into the mic.
Joshua Dapper, Joshuadapper.
Alan Hendry, Allenhendry.
All right, would you just give the board a moment to, this is the first time that they've seen this information, so they'll need a few minutes to review it.
Yes, ma'am.
For the record, Mr. Dapper is here. Dapper, is how you pronounce it? I'm sorry. Is here because he has been denied through our office, and he is asked to appear before the board, and you're looking at his criminal record. And we do need to remind you again, we're going to be under the fresh start. No, I'm sorry. That's
Dapper, you're applying for a registered employee position, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a pretty extensive criminal background.
Yes, ma'am.
How about telling us something about yourself, please?
The criminal background was back in my 20s. I just really didn't have a focus on life at the time, and since in 2009 I got married and had kids and turned my life around where it's all work now and not the past that I had before.
When was the last time that you were arrested?
2011, I think.
What was that for? have a valid license today?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I've had it since 2012.
Okay. Did you say your name was Henley?
Hendry, Hendry.
Okay.
I'm the owner of Datacom. Joshua started working with Datacom end of last year. We have two sides of the business. We have voice data side, does fiber optics and voice data, and then we have the security side. And when we brought him on, he showed the potential and the mental capabilities and capacity to be able to do security. And so that's when we got him registered with the board. I obviously hired him, did not know about his past. He has not shown anything from his past, the DUIs, the drug history, so on and so forth. We are a Tennessee drug-free workplace, and we do drug test our employees randomly and on hire and so on. I do believe that all of this is past him. He is a dedicated employee. He does an excellent job. And I think one thing on his record that was incorrect and he was not even aware of until we did the background check is it showed one of the DUIs was a felony DUI. And that was not the case. As a matter of fact, he spent quite a bit of time going back to the courts and getting that cleared, and that's what one of those letters are that we showed. It was not a felony DUI. It was recorded improperly. But I do stand beside him. He is a great employee, and his character has not shown in the past 6 months that I've known him, or 8 months that I've known him, anything of his past.
Sir, what happened to the 2006 robbery?
When I went down to 201 or to the Shelby County Courts, the records on the identification, they did a fingerprint match to that case, and it was not mine.
Is that what you brought for us today to look at? You have documentation for that?
The only documentation I received from the courts was the letter that says I've never been convicted of a felony.
Well, then we need to work with you to get this off your record, because it's still on the record.
Okay,
What I mean is, the TBI record, it is still on there. It shows that it's on there without any disposition on there. For that particular day, it was violation of probation, aggravated robbery, a DUI, violation of vehicle registration law, which violation of probation was the only thing that was dismissed. So if you're telling me it is not there, you'll need to get with the TBI with your documentation and get them to take it off of your criminal record.
Yes, ma'am. I've been in communication with them to get all this removed, and they've told me since that it had been, and that's the last I knew is I talked to them a couple months ago.
When did you check with them and they told you it had been removed?
April, I think.
Make sure when you talk that the red light's on.
I think it was April or May.
When was this criminal history run?
It was initially run in February.
I just want to make sure he does understand he needs to work. It sounds like you're already working with the TBI, who will work with the FBI and get this off your record if it's not you.
Is it possible that we're looking at criminal history that was run before he worked with them, or did you rerun it?
Yes,
Oh, that's what it was. The criminal history we have was printed off before he determined that they're supposed to expunge everything. Your statement to us is you've never been arrested for robbery.
Yes, ma'am. That is my statement.
And when was the last time that you used any alcohol or drugs?
The drugs was 3 years ago, and alcohol was almost 10 when I was in Judge Dwyer's DUI program.
So these subsequent DUI charges were drug-related, not alcohol-related?
No, it was a accumulation of the past things coming back and me taking care of them because of I entered Judge Dwyer's DUI program as a in lieu of going to jail for a violation of probation. When I finished the Judge Dwyer's DUI program is when I pled to my third DUI.
So 10 years on alcohol, 3 years on drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you drug screened him since he's been employed?
Yes, ma'am. And it was negative.
I would agree to a conditional approval of his registered employee status if it does come back that his criminal history has been cleaned up and that the robbery's no longer on there.
Okay, then I'll rerun. Well, what you'll have to do, sir, is have your own fingerprints ran. You'll need to give me the report.
Yes, ma'am.
Give us just a second. They're checking the criminal history again.
Last thing that we do show on the record is February.
So you will have to get it running.
So you'll need to have your record, once you get it cleared with the TBI, you'll go to them and I think it's something like $26, get your own fingerprint. Where are you located at?
Memphis, Tennessee.
In Memphis? Okay, get with me and I'll give you my email address and you'll need to email it to me
Yes, ma'am.
and we'll follow up on it.
But we need to have a motion on it, but
What was your condition?
Well,
that the record be
a
cleared?
conditional approval if his criminal history comes back clean, as he states it was.
I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Dapper's application conditionally that we verify the criminal record has been cleared up.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft and a second by Mr. Harvey to approve Mr. Dapper's certified employee registration if his criminal history reflects the charges were not actually against him.
Thank you.
No, we have to vote. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now, congratulations. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to check my emails when I step out. I may have an email from the TBI that shows, there's times when one felony was taken, the aggravated robbery was taken off, and there was something else I had to go fix. So I'm going to check my emails when I leave the courtroom, and if I need to, I'll email them to her.
Yeah, you will. It's conditional now that if everything is as you say it is, and we have no reason to not believe you, but once you get your criminal history cleaned up and it reflects what you've done and when, then Ms. Vest can go ahead and process your application. So that's between you and Ms. Vest as to when that happens.
We'll get his fingerprints rerun and get a whole new report sent over. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for coming. Jim Calloway. We'll need a few minutes to review the file, please.
This gentleman also made application and his application was denied and he's requested. Gentlemen, would you, excuse me, I think there's a lady also, would you state your name and spell it for the court reporter? And please speak in the mic, make sure it's Fred.
Donna Gibson, DonnaGibson.
Jim Calloway, JimCalloway. Calloway.
Mr. Galloway, we show one charge in your criminal history, and a federal charge for criminal vaults and fictitious claims for $116,000.
That is correct.
You want to tell us what happened and when?
Certainly. First off, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to be here to present my case, or my situation this morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I am requesting that the board.
Pull that forward, it'll work a little better.
Thank you. Now you can hear me, I hope. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'd like to request the board reconsider its decision from your 28th of June meeting. First off, I'd like to take a moment to tell you how that came about and a little bit of additional information about myself. First off, I came to work in Tennessee in 2011, temporary assignment with a contracting and engineering firm. When I came here, that firm agreed to pay my living expenses while I was here on a temporary assignment. After I'd been here about a year, they decided to make that a long-term assignment, but agreed to continue to pay my expenses. Once they made that a long-term assignment, I decided to move my family here, which I did. When we first came here, we were looking for housing, didn't find a house. And in 2013, we built a house in Lenoir City and established residency in Tennessee with that. Okay. Now, what should have happened is when we built the home and declared residency in Tennessee, I should have notified my employer at that time that I had established residency here. Unfortunately, I did not do that. I completed the work with that contractor in late 2015. The same contract was transferred to Oak Ridge and worked for them there. During the process of setting up or reviewing for my clearance for the job in Oak Ridge, they identified that I had received payment funds or received payment for living expenses that I had not been entitled to after I had, or when, because I'd established residency in Tennessee. Because of that, they charged me with filing a false and fictitious claim. From that, I was required to repay all of the monies, which have been repaid. I was also required to perform 150 hours of community service, which have been completed, and I was placed on probation. Okay, I was supposed to have been 36 months of probation, but because of a review from Chief Justice Thomas Varlin in East Tennessee, that case and has terminated that probation. That probation has ended. Okay, so all of that requirements of that have been satisfied. Since that time, I have been fully employed continuously. I have also been working as a part-time caregiver for my 18-month-old grandson, and also part-time caregiver for my 83-year-old sister who suffers from cancer and who is in recovery now. And also, I'm actively engaged with my church, providing as-needed maintenance and landscaping service. So I've worked to establish that myself, confirming that I am a, honorable citizen, dedicated taxpayer. Okay. I'd like to appeal to the board to reconsider that decision. Okay. As I've said, and you'll also see that that's the only issue in my entire history. I'm 67 years old, and there's nothing else on my record other than I would humbly request that the board reconsider its previous decision, potentially as a part of the Fresh Start program as well. So I do appeal to you for that.
What position would you be employed in, or what?
Alarm response employee, basically responding to
A monitoring center, working in a...
EDT.
When was your probation completed?
Earlier this month. Judge Varlin, I think on or about the 15th of August, signed an order terminating that completely. And if the board needs to see that, I have a copy of that order from the judge.
Have that with you? I'd like
Yes.
to have a copy for the
Yes,
file.
ma'am, I do. I have a copy for you.
That-
In addition to that, I've also brought Ms. Gibson with me. She is the Employee Development Manager for ADT, and I've asked that she speak on my behalf as well.
When did you hire Mr. Callaway?
Mr. Callaway's been with us for about 5 months, and I've worked alongside of him, and he's been reliable and dependable. He's not missed a day of work. He's worked all the overtime and holidays that we have requested from him. He did our customer service training, and he was the top 10% in that training course.
So his position would be in a monitoring center?
Yes, ma'am. He troubleshoots the alarm systems if a customer calls in, and he's got several accommodations from our customers. And he's
The information that we've seen here today, I would make a motion that we grant Mr. Callaway his registration.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Harvey, a second by Mr. Richard to grant Mr. Callaway his registered employee application. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations and thank you for coming.
Thank you all, and have a pleasant weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
McAdams?
This one I got to recuse myself. I need to recuse myself from this case, please.
Let the record show that Keith Harvey has recused himself as a board member. He will be coming and setting Adams as his qualifying agent for the company.
Out one door and in another?
He just changed hats.
Oh, okay.
Gentlemen, if you would, please introduce yourselves and spell your name for the reporter.
Zeke McAdams, ZEKEMCADAMS.
Keith Harvey, KEITH I'm the DQA for the Jackson ADS Security Branch.
Mr. McAdams, your last arrest was in June of 2012, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's when you stole from your family.
Yes, ma'am.
You've had no arrest or other issues with the criminal justice system in 6 years? I also see that you've recently graduated from the College of Applied Technology.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about that school. Where is it located?
In Lexington, Tennessee, it's a technical college. It was originally a 12-month program, and I finished it in 8. I'm not bragging anyway. I was just.
So your statement to us today is since 2012, you've not used any drugs. Is that correct? Alcohol.
Yes, ma'am, I did. July 25th of 2015. That's my sobriety date.
That's your sobriety date. Okay. Mr. Harvey, you've hired this man. You obviously think he has some redeeming qualities. Tell us about him, please.
Well, for those who know me, I've been in the industry for 32 years, and I've always taken a lot of pride in the type of person that I put in my customers' homes. And, you know, I do my best to read people and hire as best we can. And I saw a lot of potential in Zeke, and he was upfront honest with me with his younger problems right out of the gate, and he has proven to be nothing but a model employee since. I do believe that those past days are behind him, and he has finished school, worked a couple of jobs to get himself there, and we took him straight out of electronic school, and he wanted to build a career for himself, and he has proven that every day ever since.
How long has Mr. McAdams worked for you?
Just 3 or 4 months.
Are you still attending the AA meetings, not so much for the value to you, but for the value that you can give other people? Are you still working with AA?
Yes, ma'am.
So you attend on a regular basis?
Yes, sir. Normally 2 to 3 times a week. Yes, sir.
I would also make the statement that I have had the opportunity discreetly to see Zeke in off hours times, and times that most of our employees would be leisurely drinking alcohol legally, and I know that he didn't know we were watching that, but I believe what he tells us is true.
Questions?
I'd make a motion to approve Mr. McAdams' registration.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Cockcroft and a second by Mr. Richard to grant Mr. McAdams' employee registration application. All in favor, voice by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. You can come back up here with us. Oh.
Madam Chair, I believe that's all I have for today. We had already completed everything yesterday, but and we didn't have.
Y'all have any old or new or unfinished business?
No.
We're adjourned until October, I believe it is. Thank you.
Thank you.